2. Firing locomotive. The general procedure before locomotives fire by the engine health of the foreman, engine watchman, the fire of the lighter personally will be spot with the locomotive correct with the brown health to be stabbed with directly under the brown health of the smoke jack to prevent the roof from being ignited. Determine that the ample of the water with the boil with at least 2 gauges of the boil with 1/2 of the gauge with the keep of the bowl at the top of the water, bottom of the water gauge glass cock wide open. The check with the water level, the opening with the drain valve with under the water glass to make sure that the water return to the proper level when the drain valve with the clove. The check with the water level if the glass is being open. The gauge cocks see if the blow off cocks are not leaking of the blow down muffler. See if the cylinder cocks are open. See if the steam check with the relief valve they're open. See if that the engine is blocked with the train with the head with the behind with each of the man and the wheel. See if the throttle is closed with the tightly that the reverse level in the central position. Examine the firebox with any form interior with the determine the condition of the brickwork. Note if the flues are free of leaks, if the dampers are for the operation condition and oil burning locomotive is not condition for the burner with the remove of the carbon of the fire brick without other obstruction would interfere with the flame of the burner with the opposite end of the firebox. Oil and the coal burning locomotives inspect with the grate bar with the center grates. Make certain the record, the time of the bolt, the engine house, and foreman and engine watchman fire letter should be time on the date with the wind with the engine ready to fire it up in time on the which for the actual fire with the engine watchman and fire letter personal responsible for the property over the warm department. Steam locomotives will come secure with the greater with the safety of the efficiency. You with the equipment by observing the following instruct with the engine crew with the wood going on due with the first assertion of the water level of the boiler with the test gauge cap with the water level with the test with the maybe the frequent intervals between the terminal carelessness maybe the serve of the damage for the blow with the possible explosion. Nevertheless, the water below with the bottom of the water gauge glass of the bottom of the gauge cock with the 2 test of the water gauge glass alternately open and the clove at the top of the bottom water gauge glass cock with the water gauge drain cock open and allow with each of the below with about 30 seconds. Open bowl with the water gauge and glass cock and the clove of the drain, after which the water should return to the glass immediately. Stiff the water column on open drain cock with the let water steam below about 30 seconds with the clove of the drain valve. Water should return immediately. Or note in the circumstance with the boil of the water add with the boil of the water level cannot be determined definitely with about the 10th of the inch of the dome with the kill of the wire at once cover the smokestack with the clove of the fire door with the isolate with the firebox from the influx of the air with the band with the retard with the cooling with the firebox sheet with the manner will produce the damage fire locomotive fire little light it was possible the working of the damage maintain with even the same pressure at all times carry level of fire on grade a little heavier with the each side of the rear of the prevent air with the coming from the 2 rapidly with near the side of the back sheet. 3. The furnace door will be opened with the unnecessary when will not be opened unnecessarily. With the furnace door is open with the flow of the air from the flues with increase with the proportionally with the amount of the air passing through the door with the rapid contraction of the flue sheet with the firebox due to the cold air made by leaks possible. The fire door will be securely latched as soon as the fire is started in the firebox and at all times when the locomotive is under fire. The head of the feed water heater will not be used with the engine watchman with the fire lighters placing the water and boiler injector only with the U with the purpose of the water must not be played with the boiler when the fire has died down as will cover the flues to leak. In case of the water of the boiler reaches the level of the bottom of the gauge cock, the fire must be extinguished immediately by the engine house foreman. Notified promptly, no water must be played with the boiler unless authorized by the foreman. You with the blowout cocks accordance with the instruction. Cab curtains will be rolled up and pulled aside with the engine with the boiler being fired up with the left of an intent with the avoid the danger of the backflash of the which connect with the curtains of the cab. Fire is being cleaned with the kill with the excess of the lower damage of the boiler with the drawing cool air through the firebox of flues. Fire lighters, engine watchmen with the maintain careful watch over the engine in their charge with the frequently of the engines being fired up. Operation crew will be the operator inspection firebox sheets before leaving and after arriving at the terminal, noting any of the defect with the purport with attention proper authority. The person responsible for firing up the oil burning locomotives will connect with the roundhouse boiler with the locomotive blowing out with the condensation of the line when not under the stream of the drain water from the oil tank with the opening of the drain engine oil heater with the U of the water starting the fire with the steam pressure if not available to work or add a thermometer blower to take care of the putting of the wood with the firebox avoiding damaging brickwork with the burner. Ensure the flow of the oil burn with the made and circulation of the steam through the engine oil heater with the heating of the oil with the tank provided with the temperature of 150 degrees to 165 degrees at the burner. Cold and freezing weather with the blow back valve with the clean out with the oil feed with the pipe with the oil tank oil open atomizer valve with the blowout with any of the condensation that may be in the steam pipe with the steam passages with the burner. Open the damper, open the drop blower valve with slightly decrease with light defect draft from the firebox and to carry out the accumulation of the gas may originate in the firebox. Open the oil tank valve. 9. Apply with the wire basket, carefully ignited waste for the firebox, stay on the left side with the fire door with the open atomizer valve with enough of the oil begin with the flow with the steam current will be sufficient to carry out the oil from fire open firing valve. Carefully to avoid high explosions whenever the oil ignites, adjusting fire valve with the atomizer for the generated steam will create with the black smoke. Never light a fire heated bricks, as explosion may occur with the result of the personal injury with the damage of the brickwork. Adjust the atomizer of the firing valve so the oil will be atomized, consumed as passed with the room in the burner. Avoid any case of adjustment that might cover the wastage of the oil with the possible damage of the fire explosion. If the dipping from the burning of the drop of the pit with the ignite with the make all observation fire door peephole taken care of with the guard again for the outflash of the flame which may follow the ignition of the oil. When the starting of the fire, locomotive with the heavy steam of the boiler previous fire that has been extinguished from any of the cover to take precautions again with the possible explosion by opening the blower sufficiently to draw the gas from the firebox of the flues. 13. When the boilers are filled with cold water, adjust the firing valve with the require approximately 1.5 hours to relieve the steam pressure of the belt, 50 pounds with additional hour to relieve the pressure of 200 pounds. Proportionally longer time with will be taken with the maximum pressure higher than 200 pounds with the boilers are filled with the hot water, reduce the time consumed in the fire up engine to the extent that the will not injure the firebox of the boiler. After the engine has about 40 to 80 pounds of the steam, depending upon the size of the engine, and disconnect with a roundhouse blower line and fire up the engine under its own steam. 15. If wood has been used strong with the fire of the burn, will remove completely all of the woods and firebox before moving the locomotive to avoid danger of the setting of the fire adjacent building to inflammable material. Watch fire carefully as the spark of the burning wood will be drawn through the flue within the sack locomotive workingly. Personal responsibility putting out fire with the oil burner locomotive will shut off the oil valve under the tender. 2. When oil pipe with the being between the oil valve with the tender of the burner has been allowed to flow out with the burner, close with the firing valve. 3. Close the atomizer. 4. Close with the damper. And 5. Shut off the blower. 6. Close with the valve and tender. Open and heat with the coil of the heater. C. With the following valve with the close with the main fountain blower, air pump, the feed water pipe, dynamo and lubricator. Personal and responsible for firing up the coal locomotive. The either hand fired up the quip of the type with the stoker will be connect the roundhouse blower locomotive after the blowing out with the condensation with the line. Inspect the grates for the shovel that are level to the ash pan door with the closed building thin coal bed with the grates between by you with the scoop of the shovel to throw little lighted waste over the top of the coal bed with a tray with wiping oil until the coal bed ignited. After engine has 60 pounds of steam with a disconnect with the roundhouse blower line, operate the blower with steam from the boiler. Locomotives equipped with a mechanical stoker, but do not operate with the stoker mechanism up the scooping shovel. 7. Putting too many scoop of the coal bright with the fire, with the waste with the fuel, with the roof, with the effect with the grate, with the temperature with the fire, both with the fire will be kept brightly as high with even the temperature probably nor with the consuming the gas with the accomplished for the fire lighting often improper with the uneven firing with a tendency with the cover of the flues to leak if the pressure is not maintained with the regular slim the chain with the temperature make flues sheet of the firebox the crack to the expand with the and even the fire carrier with the hole with the developing cold air from the lowering of the temperature controlling with the fluid with the causing loose carrying heavy fire to cover the clinkers and form. 8. Starting heavy train will have 2 light with the fire with the grate with the lift of fire from the grates with the forming hole with the admit with the cold air with the firebox with the turn reduce with the boiler pressure may strut with the flues to leak with the rake will be with the level of the fire whenever necessary. Allow the ash pan to become filled with the clinkers. The ash prevents the right amount of the air from reaching the firebox may warp the ash pan when the burnout of the grate. The person responsible for putting on the fire with the cleaning of the ash pan with the coal burning locomotives will shut off the stoker engine and jet. Open ash pan hopper door with the open blower slightly. Shake ash and any live fire into the ash pan. Clean all ash and live fire from ash pan into the cinder pit with the means of the blower nozzle, the hooks and rakes and the like. 6. Quenches of the hot ash and live fire. 7. Close hopper door with the lock grate shaker with the shut off boiler. Alright, 65. Safety precaution. The netting of the smoke above the top of the smokestack with the maintain with the proper condition cylinder slide. The handhold plate for the wheel, either proper plate for the securely fastened. Important that the ash pan with the ash pan slide with the properly with the secure with the free of the holes of the otherwise live coals will run out of the pot. Pan start fires in the track with the prevent them from center of the vicinity with the warehouse with the place with the on the where fires may be started necessary. Hard use of the locomotive will be avoided. Gauge cocks will be tested to see with the opening and the close of the water gauge cock will be blown out to see if the water circulates properly within the glass with the gauge cock with the water glass cock. Water column connections will be cleaned out at time of the monthly inspection boiler washout. Keep cylinders free of the water to avoid damage valve with the cylinders to ensure the perfect lubrication obtained the most efficient service from the locomotive. Driving wheels will not be slipped to get out with the water with the cylinder steam patch of the water will be worked out by opening the cylinder cock starting with the engine slowly. Alright, shaking the grates, cleaning of the ash pan will not be done when the engine of the yard is passing over the crossing of the bridge. If the fire started the track of the cleaning of the ash pan will be extinguished promptly. The fires will not be cleaned or the ash pan dumped over the turns and crossover. Section 3, feed, water control, and boiler maintenance.